Are you feeling trapped in your circumstances? Do you feel stuck in your situation? Do you find it hard to make changes? Do you find excuse after excuse as to why you can't change or why you must remain stuck? This is it. Sometimes we can blame externally for our situation. We blame other people, we blame situations, and we think of every excuse under the sun why we shouldn't change or why we can't change. But we hold a lot more power than we realise, and it's time to take responsibility into our own hands and make the changes required to live our better lives. So, my name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. We have a lot more power than we realise. We have a lot more control of our lives than we realise. But we're choosing every day to make an excuse. I can't do this because I'm too busy to do this because of this. Or, this person's behaviour has led me to do this or has led me not to change. I'm stuck in this situation. I'm trapped. But these are all these excuses that we keep coming up with, and that's all they are. They're excuses. Is there any truth behind these excuses? Is there any validity there? Or are we just a little bit too comfortable? Too comfortable in our comfort zone? Too comfortable for change? Are we afraid to take that responsibility more so than knowing that we have it? But that's the thing. We don't understand sometimes when we're in a low vibration energy, when we're still stuck in that matrix, when we're still conditioned, we don't realize that we have the power. We continuously find excuses. We continuously find people to blame, circumstances to blame. I'm stuck in this dynamic. There's no way out. I'm trapped. I have to be here because what if this happens? And this is, I'll describe this. I've mentioned this already. I was in a nature toxic relationship, a narcissistically abusive relationship. And I got to year 6 and I had a massive terror moment, a massive trauma to wake me the fuck up. And I look back now and the reasons I'll explain why when I discovered I had power. But I look back now and I felt helpless. I felt in victim mode. I felt, why me? I was like blaming everything and everyone else for my circumstances, blaming my ex-partner, blaming everything. And there's a difference here. There's certain ways you can take responsibility for our lives, but you're not responsible for the abuse that was given to you. And I remember, I want you to remember that. When we say taking responsibility, it's taking responsibility to change yourself out of dynamics. And that's the thing. It was funny. I was actually going through that traumatic situation, and I went to counselling, and that counsellor helped me to realise that I was in a toxic relationship. And I remember saying to her, after she was pointing out blankly that, here, this is not good for you. This is not good. This is toxic. She wasn't obviously, she couldn't change how I felt. So she was just giving me that advice. And eventually I surrendered to the truth. And I was like, okay, she's right. I'm in a toxic relationship. But I actually said the words to her, look, there's nothing I can do about this. It is what it is. So I resigned myself to the fact that I was going to stay in an abusive, uncompassionate relationship for the rest of my life. This was in my late 20s. And I resigned, but and I tell you the reason. I resigned myself to that fact because I'd become so codependent on my ex that I was like, how am I supposed to live my own again? I lived on my own when I was 19, and I was capable of being responsible for myself. And because I was in such a toxic dynamic for so long, I resigned myself to the fact that I was stuck. I forgot that I had power. I forgot that I could actually control the outcome. And I forgot that I had the ability to change things. I completely just resigned myself to the fact that I cannot live my life without this toxic person. So therefore, I'm just going to stay here forever and be unhappy. That was my choice. I actually said that to my counsellor. And 2 weeks later, I went back to her and I said, I'm fucking done. I'm out. I'm fucking no. And I remember she was shocked because she didn't think I was going to change. And in a flip of a switch, well, it obviously wasn't a flip of a switch. His toxic behaviour made me kind of going, I'm fucking not doing this anymore. But I was able to go from being hopeless in victim mode, powerless, and not believing that I had any power, to flipping that switch and getting the fuck out of that situation. Now, I know it's very difficult when you're in a toxic dynamic like that, but this can happen in all areas of our lives. You're stuck in a family dynamic because of financial issues. You're stuck in a relationship because of, children or, financial issues again. You're stuck in a toxic dynamic in work because of finance. It's all fucking money, but it's all about security. It's that fear of being alone, the fear of being rejected. All of that comes up, and it's just like, if we don't move, we'll be fine. And that was the thing with me as well. With my, we do this with jobs all the time. It's like, I'm in this horrible job, but I need, I'm not going to look for a job, or I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay and be miserable all my life. I'm going to be abused by these bosses, and I'm just going to stay here. And, I was actually in a job I loved, which is funny. And I knew I had to leave because my boss was pushing out everyone that was intimidating him. He was an arc. And I was like, I watched him literally go like this to the people on the staff, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to have to look for a job. But I got lazy about it. I just like, yeah, I like it here, it's comfortable, I know it's not that bad, the boss isn't that bad. And then he'd do something. It's like being in a relationship for so long, and every time they do something bad, you're like, I'm out of here, I'm fucking out of here. And then they do something nice, and you're like, sure, it's not that bad, it'll be fine, it's comfortable, it's easy. And this is any dynamic, this is any kind of relationship. We go through these stages of like saying, when there's a little bit of good days, it's like, oh, it's fine, it's actually not that bad. Oh, it's okay, it's comfortable. I don't have to do anything. Da-da-da. And then it's just like, all of a sudden, then the shit hits the fan again. And you're like, fuck, that's the reason I wanted to leave. And then you're reminded, and that's where the cycle keeps coming. And we keep coming back, reverting back to our old ways and saying, no, it's fine. I can't change because of this. I won't change because of this. I'm too busy to do it because of this. I won't allow this into my life because of this. I won't send that message or that email because of this. There's an excuse, an excuse, an excuse, an excuse, an excuse. And that is all they are. They're fucking excuses. They're not truth. They're just you kind of going, I don't want to take responsibility for my life, so I'm just going to do fucking nothing. And that's what we do. We end up neglecting ourselves, abandoning ourselves and abandoning our lives by doing nothing. And then we sit in this victim mentality going, oh, poor me. Oh my God, I'm so sorry for myself. Oh, I've nothing I can do. I'm so helpless. And like, I'm sorry, but I felt like that as well. I felt like where I've actually been so helpless, stuck in a toxic dynamic saying, I have to stay here for the rest of my life because I know no different. And literally in the space of a couple of weeks, I took my power back. And that's it. That's understanding that we have responsibility for our shit. It's our shit. So blaming an external person or an external situation or an external excuse for the reason you won't change, it's not because you can't change, it's because you fucking won't. And you're delaying your life because you're not taking the power into your own hands. You're blaming everyone else, and you're putting the responsibility and control of your life into somebody else's hands. And that's what we do. We're like, I can't do this because of this. I can't do this because of this person. I can't do this because I'm too busy. You're making excuses again and again and again and again and again. And that's what it is. And we feel like we're in this victimhood. We expect everyone to feel sorry for us. Oh, me, my poor life. Your life is your fucking responsibility. Your life is your control. It's under your control. You know what I mean? And we all know what it's like, especially if anyone who's been in a toxic relationship dynamic. We all know what it's like to actually lose control. To get so bad that we've lost all sense of self. And I do know what that's like. And it's very hard to take power back into your own hands. But if I can do it after an 8-year toxic relationship, from 1 week going, hey, I'm stuck in this forever and I'm resigning to that fact, to 2 weeks later going, fuck this fucking shit. Do you know what I mean? If I can do it when I'm in the deepest, darkest depths of it, so can you. And oftentimes we don't see what we can change because we don't want to see it. We're so stuck in that conditioning. We're so stuck in our old ways. We're so stuck in this vicious cycle that we're always on, that we say to ourselves, maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday, or maybe never, because you're going to go, oh, it's too late for me to change now. It's never too fucking late. It's never too late to grab your life by the fucking balls and take control. And that's a fact. It is never, ever too late. It's never too late to start again. Like, that's a simple thing. You know, you're in a job you don't like, but you're like, I there's nowhere local I can work, or, you know, it's fine, you know, it gives me money, you know, there's nothing I can do to change it, I don't have qualifications for something else. Learn the qualifications. You can avail of so many online courses to broaden your intelligence, to actually broaden where you actually want to work. And also, we're here to find our passion anyway. So if you're in a job you don't like, do something about it. Do something that fills yourself with joy, fills your soul up with fire. You know what I mean? Why are we continuously living in this black and white mundane cycle over and over again, thinking that nothing is going to change until somebody comes to save you? You're the only person that can save you. Yes, bring mentors, coaches, counselors, therapists into your life. They can help support you, but effectively it's your responsibility. You know, a therapist or a coach doesn't come to fix you. They come to help you fix yourself. And it all boils down to you fixing yourself, you controlling your life, you taking responsibility for you. This is your life. You know, and oftentimes we're living the life that our parents want. We're living the life that society wants. We're living the life that our boss or our friends want. And because of that, we're like, it's out of my control anyway. I have to do what they say. Do you know, you're following the fucking sheep off the fucking cliff here. Come on, like, do you know what I mean? And you're literally, but that's a choice. It's a choice. This is the thing. We get to choose. You're not trapped like you think you may be. You have a choice every single day. You have a choice to get up tomorrow and go into that job you hate. Or you have a choice tomorrow to expand your knowledge and create a job that you will actually feel fulfilled in. Or choose a job you actually will feel fulfilled in. Anyway, or you have a choice tomorrow to walk away from that relationship, to walk away from that toxic family dynamic, that codependent relationship. You actually have a choice. You know, you're not stuck. That's only, the only limit is the limits of your mind. You're choosing every day to suffer. You're choosing to stay in victim mode. You're choosing to feel sorry for yourself. And you know, I did this. After my other toxic relationship in my 20s, I was crying every day because my inner child was so fucking wounded. Even though I knew that relationship had to fucking end, I was in bits. I couldn't stop crying. I felt so sorry for myself. Every day I was fucking crying. Even in work, I'd be standing there fucking crying. Do you know what I mean? I was in a terrible state. But I was reading the law of attraction at the time, so I was able to flip the switch, and I was like, hold on now a second. I have a choice to sit here and cry every fucking day and feel sorry for myself, or I get to flip the switch right now. And I chose to flip that switch. It was hard, but I literally went for, I remember it like yesterday. I was sitting there crying, thinking my whole world was after ending because I got out of a toxic relationship. Is that not a good thing? And I was like, oh my God, I have nothing left. Poor me. Sorry. I was really, really upset. And I'm not taking the piss out of how I felt. It was real. But I literally was feeling so sorry for myself one minute. And then when I remembered the law of attraction, I was like, hold on now a second. Whoa, let's reframe this situation. I got out of a shitty fucking relationship. I can go into independence now. I have the roof over my head. I have a great job. I have my animals. I have great friends. I have my health. I escaped a toxic relationship. Why am I fucking crying? And bang, all of a sudden I went from crying every fucking day to taking the fucking life by the balls and choosing myself. So we can literally be in the deepest, darkest depths of our victimhood and actually say, fuck this shit, that's enough. Because, you know, I'm sorry, but for me personally, I got to the stage where I was sick of listening to myself. I'm sorry, like, you know, I'm not bitching about depression or anxiety or, you know, grief of any kind. We all go through our stages, whatever length of time that is. But I genuinely flipped a fucking switch and I said, I do not want to be in this mode anymore. And I was able to take control of my life again. So how do we do this? We become self-aware. We become understanding to the fact that we have so much control and so much power. We get to choose every single minute of every single day how our life gets to be. That is a superpower. But knowing it and actually putting it into action is two different things. But knowing it is a big step when you're in the depths of victimhood. Feeling sorry for yourself, make an excuse after excuse. Ask yourself that. Every time you try something new, every time you want to do something that sets your soul on fire, and your ego mind comes in and says, yeah, but what if this happens? What if this happens? Tell that fucking tell it to fuck off. Because it's not real. This is what's holding you back. You have a choice right now to do the thing you want to do or not do it. And that's what you're choosing every day. You're choosing not to listen to your intuition. You're choosing not to take action. You're choosing to stay the same. And it's a choice. It is a choice. You can choose tomorrow morning to wake up and have a great day, or you can choose to wake up and have a shit day. You can choose to take control and responsibility, or you can choose to remain in victim mode, to remain in that helpless energy, feeling hopeless. We have a choice to flip that switch. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will change. But change the way you look at your life. Change the way you control your life. Stop letting it control you. Stop letting your situations, your excuses, your mind control you. Lead with love and lead with that choice every day. Because that's it. You're the one that's responsible for this change. You're the one that's responsible for your evolution. You're the one that's responsible to expand your knowledge, to heal your wounds, and to create a life of fulfillment. That's the power that you hold. No one else. No one else holds it. No matter what you think your circumstances are, or who you think is to blame for the situation that you're in now, or what you think is to blame for it. There's only one person that can change your situation, and that is you. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I would love nothing more than to help you on your path.